how to fix that.
Yes.
Okay, meeting will come to order. Have the roll of numbers.
Mr. Blue?
Present.
Mr. Brim?
Here.
Mr. Householder?
Here.
Mr. McCullough?
Here.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the minutes of a regular meeting on August 18th and a special meeting that was held on September 13th, or September 3rd, excuse me. Motion, please.
McCullough.
Second.
Blue.
Any corrections? If not, let's vote.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
We have no principal or supervisor reports listed.
No.
Public participation. Anybody that came to the meeting to address the board and the public? We'll go to the Treasury report. We need a motion to approve cash position, check register, receipt of ledger, investment report, and the budget versus actual report.
Brim.
Householder.
Any discussion or question? No? Vote?
Mr. Householder?
Yes.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Superintendent report?
We just want to thank everyone for a great start to school, and just a few reminders that if you have any questions about bus stops or about how the transportation is working, to call the district office. You can talk to Amy Collins or to Kathy Ruffner, and they'd be happy to help you. We've made a lot of adjustments over the last week, and I think we've got a lot of things fixed. But go ahead and call the district office, and we'd be happy to help with all of those issues. If you have questions about parent pickup, parent drop-off, walkers, or things like that, especially at our new elementary school, you would want to call Kenton Elementary School to have those issues or concerns addressed. But I think overall we've got a lot of the bugs worked out, and we appreciate everyone's time and patience as we work through all of that last week. So a lot of fun. But Morningside Drive is open, and I think it was a huge success, and it helped the traffic flow very nicely, and we're very thankful for all of those things, as well as a great school that opened for the kids. We had a lot of I know the kids really enjoyed it. I heard a lot of compliments, and I think the learning went really well last week there. I had a little bit to share just with the report card that came out on Friday. The reason that the principals aren't talking about their report cards and presenting tonight is twofold. First of all, it came out Friday, but some of the data that's embedded in our report card, we just need to check and confirm. We had a little glitch with data which most schools won't experience. Ours is because we actually had to close our IRNs. So we had to close all of our elementary schools on August 15th. And they pulled a lot of the data after August 15th. So they notified us that we'll want to go in and we'll want to double check a lot of our data. And if you look at our Hardin Central report card, you'll see why. It says that our building principal is Angie Butterman for Hardin Central last year, and we all know that was Julie Simmons. And we also see there that it will say things like our K-3 literacy report, there weren't enough students to give us kind of like a feeling, an indicator. And if you know, Hardin Central is one of our biggest elementary schools, so there should be plenty of kids to give us an indicator. So what I have to do is go into the secure data center and look through a lot of that data and make sure it's just an IRN situation where we actually closed buildings. And so some of that data just might have gotten crossed, or it might have come up like that Angie will be listed as the principal at the elementary school, and the names just got switched. But overall, if you look at what was published and what exists as our district report card as it stands now, we did improve in some areas. So the overall gifted area was an improvement from last year. On the 2012-2013 report card, we received an F in that area, and that increased to a D, as well as the AMO, which is the annual measurable objective, which used to be AYP, and that also went from an F to a D standing. So overall, our 2013-2014 report card as it stands has no Fs, which is a big accomplishment, as well as I think overall we did pretty well and saw some growth. But we'll just want to go in when that secure data site opens and just confirm that everything is accurate with, it's just the value added piece and some of the things that fall under that category, and get our principals straightened up on the report card so that they read correctly and some of those things. So in October, our principals will come and they'll actually present and they'll talk about their building goals and those things. But that's why that's postponed for a month. But I just wanted to share those pieces.
Any questions about that or anything else? Jennifer? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. Finance committee, Dave?
In the finance committee, we didn't have a big meeting. We talked about the tree project at the high school. Last year we planted some trees that didn't weather well, didn't make it, and so they're going to redo that project with Russ Cahill and the local FFA group. And so the cost for that is going to be $3,305, $3,305, and so that some of that money is coming through the community foundation grant. That's $1,000, and then $1,600 came from the class of 2014. They donated that. And then the last $705 will be coming out of the facilities budget to be able to finish that project off. And then we talked about the Munis, which is the updated software system that we're going to move forward with. And so, and I think you see in our agenda, we have a resolution to vote on for that. And Tracy's going to try to get us in on the 2016 time schedule. We don't know where we're going to be, but that's where we're going to try to target for that. Jen went over a bunch of staffing changes, which of course are also in our agenda that we'll go through. And then we talked about the busing, and for buses, we'd like to trade bus 19 in, which is a 60-passenger bus, for a 72-passenger bus, and then trade bus 20 in, which is our wheelchair bus, and it's a small wheelchair bus, for a mid-size wheelchair bus. So that's just a talking point at this point. We're trying to get evaluations on the pricing and what our trades will be and that kind of stuff. And so as we get that information, then we'll be able to update the board. But that's one of the things that we're doing. And what that would do would allow us to be able to pick up the extra kids that we've gotten, because we picked up 600 to 700 bus riders. Somewhere in there, 600 to 700 more people riding the bus, which is great. That's a wonderful thing that helps with our congestion and doing all those things. We had several people this last week that were commuters to school that signed up to ride the bus. That was about 70 or 75 more kids in that week. And so all of those things help us along with our congestion issue. But because of that, then we got to work on the buses. So that's what we're doing. We got to figure out where the dollars are and where we're going. And so that was the crux of the finance committee.
Any comments or questions? Finance?
Let's talk about buses a little. You're suggesting we trade two and get two new ones.
So
Do we have enough buses now with the bus schedule? I heard that they were having trouble getting the football team out the other night because they didn't have enough buses back quick enough.
If we do this, because what it'll do, the 60 to the 72, that 12 will give us the 12 more riders that we need in that bus, because that's costing us a bus in our run. And then, of course, our mid-size bus, going from a small bus to a mid-size bus, that also is more riders that we can put onto that bus, and that saves us that bus that was out. And so we go from 3 buses back to 4 buses back, held for sports events, and so then that gives us the number that we need.
And Brian's closely monitoring, so we're closely monitoring the need for, if we need to put more buses on as well. And we're happy to add more buses if we get more riders, so he's.
I was just curious if we needed to add another bus or two, because we may not have backup buses if we're not.
There's questions about that, and I think Brian is doing a great job with trying to arrange that and work with what we have, and he's bringing us, these are his ideas to bring towards us. I don't want to act like these are our ideas as the board in any way. Those are Brian's, and I think that they're good, solid ideas. And so, if we can do this and see where we go, if we're still short, then yeah, we need to look at a bus, because we want people to ride the bus. We want to have a good, strong busing infrastructure system, because it makes everything flow better.
And I think, and I could be wrong because I don't have my numbers right in front of me, I think we've hired 4 drivers so far this year, and we still have 1 opening posted. So Brian's biggest struggle right now that's holding us back, which is what even caused the football bus or the 1 bus to go out late, is drivers.
No.
So we're struggling with even drivers for our bus routes as well as substitute drivers. So a little bit of it was getting the routes working the beginning of the week, and we knew that, and Mike Letty, our athletic director, knew that, and the teams that we were playing knew that. So, we had those conversations. The first couple days might be rough, so we had all that planned. But we've hired 4 drivers, and I'm pretty confident it's 4, and we still have 1 to hire, just so that we get to that point of having those buses out with the 4 athletic buses. So if anyone would be interested in substitute driving, or possibly the potential of being a driver for Kenton City Schools, you're more than welcome to come to the district office and fill out an application. We would welcome those.
Okay, very good. Facilities, Tom and Russ?
It's working.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
The one thing let's talk about is a parking lot extension. If anybody was out to open house a couple of those days, there was not enough parking. And we're having parking issues. We only have 20-some visitor parking places.
Correct. I think that's about right.
And so if you look at the north side parking lot, the traffic pattern is right on the edge of the concrete. So if we extended that concrete out, we would pick up additional parking places without driveways or anything else. So it would be an extension of, I don't know what they figured, 20 feet, 19 feet, I'm not sure what they.
I think it was 19 feet.
So, and there's no curbs there, there's nothing, it wouldn't change the water flow, it doesn't change anything. And that estimate came in at about $70,000. And right now, they're checking or waiting to see how the numbers come in for Morningside, because there was some changes on the cost because of some unstable soil. And they fixed it, but we don't have the cost figures yet. So they're looking at our LFI dollars that way. But I was talking today at the meeting, and I said, what if we were to pledge our money at this point to get it done quickly? And then if the project has enough money left in it, we could take it out of there later. And they said that's quite a possibility, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What is the state's reaction to that? Have you had an answer from
No.
them?
No.
The same answer that we've gotten from day one when we designed the building.
You're talking about them paying their portion.
Right.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You have
That's been
plenty of
I
parking. You
expected
don't
that.
need any more.
But we started out with 132 parking places, remember? We've
Right.
already stretched it to 146 or 7, whatever the number is.
And there's still people parking in the yard out there.
Correct. But we don't need any more.
But, so
They're not worried about parking.
if we were trying to speed it up and get it done yet this year,
Yeah.
we could push it forward and just commit some of our capital improvement funds, and then push comes to shove, we could use that until that other money is freed up.
Okay.
So,
All right. What's the timing of that? Sure.
Well,
We're going to talk on Thursday. We have a core team meeting.
Okay.
And get some more answers.
All right, anything on any other facilities?
do we have other facilities on there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it's working well.
Seems like all the effort's been in the new schools.
Well, it takes a lot, you know.
But they've been working on the other ones, and they're up and working. And I'm sure we've neglected a few things over the summer.
Should we bring up that we'll be walking through on Wednesday with the auctioneers? And they're thinking that we're only going to need one day for auctioning off the contents of Hardin Central and Espy. And so we do not know if that will be October 11th or October 18th. It depends on the auctioneer's availability. So, but those are the two dates that we did pick. And hopefully by Wednesday, they'll be getting with us and giving us their proposals.
Define that for sure. Yeah.
Yes. And then we'll be getting notices out in the paper and radio and wherever else we need to, sending it probably across the state, all the other schools. And
There's one other thing I'd like to bring up, and that's bus stops. I drove the city a couple of different mornings looking at them and to see how well they were working, and I'd like to thank the parents and some of the people who were waiting with their kids to kind of keep an eye on things. I know they're not officially volunteers, but they're there paying attention and keeping an eye on things. And we do appreciate their help.
Good. Extracurricular committee, Mark?
We had a meeting scheduled for September 4th, they got canceled. Trying to get that rescheduled in the next 2 weeks. I know our athletic director, Michael Letty, he's been extremely busy this fall. I think everywhere I've been, I've seen him at. And I know he's getting a list of stuff of things he'd like to discuss and things we need to look at. Probably one thing pretty obvious, scoreboard football field had some issues. And we were talking about that the other day. And one problem we have, that scoreboard, believe it or not, is obsolete. He said you cannot buy parts for it anymore. So everyone that has that scoreboard is buying up all the parts they can get to keep it running. So it's not that old a scoreboard, but I'm afraid when you can't get parts for it anymore, it's not going to be worth a lot. So that's something we're probably going to have to look at down the road, and probably some other facility things too, some other scoreboards. So those are just things that we'll talk about in our committee meeting, and hopefully here next week, 10 days, we'll sit down and go through that. I think he's looking in, he's actually going ahead and trying to price some stuff out for us, so we got an idea, what it would cost, but I don't know what else you can really do with it when you can't buy parts for them anymore.
Right.
And that scoreboard's what, 16 years old, 15 years old? It was put up in about 97, 96, right in there, I think.
Computers haven't changed much in that time.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe for you.
Yeah, that's not here.
Scoreboard and Message Center put in another one.
what?
Yeah, but that was one of my first things that got thrown in my lap because the computer was attached to it.
I remember hauling the base up there, and it was about, 18 feet wide, and I know we were kind of sneaking it up there one day, getting up there.
And at the time, the scoreboard, I remember the electronics guy, the scoreboard was their brand new not top line, but that was their brand new technology because it was the LED lighting, whereas the message center that was the very last message center that they had with the incandescent.
Right. So I guess every so many years, every 10 years, you might as well figure.
Yeah, I climbed up there last Friday, and it's not as high as you'd think until you get up there and you're like, whoa, it's high.
So, I don't know. I guess those are things we'll have to cover and talk about, and see what we can budget into. So I guess we'll wait till the committee. Hopefully next month we'll have better answers for you.
Career Center?
Everything's off to a pretty good start this year. Things are flowing pretty well. All the summer projects were completed, and some of the new courses are in place and everything. And probably the biggest announcement today, Superintendent Dr. Price is looking to retire at the end of July 15. So we're going to be starting our superintendent search immediately. so that we don't get behind the 8 ball. And we've got things in motion already to get that started, so.
Okay.
We had a really good meeting with the Career Center to move forward with our plans of the Straight A grant. I think that was on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. So the plan is to go ahead and move forward with Northwood. We'll put in the 3 programs, health, the IT program, and the engineering manufacturing program that will be linked to businesses in Hardin County. We'll provide those for Ridgemont, Hardin Northern, and Ada as well, if any students would like to participate. And Dr. Price will work with those school districts on coming to Kenton to get that programming. But the nicest part about the whole thing is the only part of the funding that we didn't think that we could manage, or I know we couldn't manage, was the actual CAD programming part, and High Point is going to pay for all that. And that's like $250,000 that we did not get funded through Straight A. And they believe in the program, they believe it's important to Hardin County, they believe it's important for our kids, and they're going to sponsor that. So we will actually see what would be probably robotics course in our middle school, and then programming for 9 through 12 at Northwood. That would be a career tech program. So it's a very good partnership to have, and then other schools in the county will benefit by being able to come to Northwood. So that planning is starting. They'll help us connect with businesses, so it's a very exciting time.
And that's part of our moving forward with not just committing to juniors and seniors, so we're starting to reach out to a lot of lower grades levels and get them geared towards a career.
Absolutely.
Policy committee?
The policy committee didn't meet, but I have one more thing that's not actually in a committee appointment. I spoke with Representative Sprague today, and he is going to work on getting a new traffic study done for the Morningside, Jacob Parrott, 67 corner, and he is going to try to take on a task of getting a light put in there. So we'll see how far that goes, but I talked to him this morning, and that was one of the things that he offered that he could do, and so I said, please do it.
I appreciate it.
He's been very supportive of that project all along.
Oh, absolutely. He was very upset when it didn't get funded the first time. He thought that it should have been funded and that it would have been funded, but so he's going to try to get after them to get the ball rolling to do it again and get it and actually get it accomplished. So it's just something. If you talk to him, if you see him, just ask him how it's going so that you remind him about it and keep it in his ear. That was one of the things that he asked me to do. So if any of you see Representative Sprague, ask him about it. Anyone, please.
And with policy committee, the Neola box did come.
No.
So
There you
next
go.
month we'll be working through policies, and there is one policy on the agenda tonight. It's a
Great.
simple one.
All right, there's no old business on the agenda, so first item in new business is to approve a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel and the sale of property at the time of 7:24.
Householder.
McCullough?
Vote, please.
Mr. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
Mr. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Brim?
Yes.
Mr. Householder?
Yes.